Please join me now in welcoming our speaker today, Sheila Maye. Sheila is a licensed Unity teacher, but her background is in forestry, and she loves gardening, especially she loves metaphysical gardening. So now, as we prepare to hear Sheila's message, we're going to listen to Nathen sing If I Were Brave by Janice Stanfield and Jimmy Scott. Take it away, Nathen.
What would I do if I knew that I could not fail? If I believed, would the wind always fill up my sail? How far would I go? What could I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread, and never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of a seed, are there miracles in you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread, and I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I refuse to listen to the voice of fear, or would the voice of courage whisper in my ear? Maybe this is what I'd hear. I am brave enough to move ahead, where true believers dare to tread, and I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step will I take today? I am brave. What will I do 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 today? I am brave. I am brave. I am brave. I am brave.
Oh, thank you, Nathan, for that. Yeah, and yes, what would we do if we were brave? And we certainly need to dig to our strength to embody that. Sawabona, everybody. This is me reaching out to you across space and time to connect heart to heart, mind to mind, to create sacred space with the desire, intention that you take some nugget and feel some smile or take what you need from whatever I have to offer. So the idiom, I'm at the end of my rope, is one that you've probably heard and you may have felt you've lived at some point. And there's a lot of richness to that idea. Sometimes this idea of being at the end of our rope means that we're feeling like we're at the end of our resources. And other times it means like we feel like we're at the end of our leash, at the end of our rope in limits, that we've gone as far as we can, that there's something holding us back. And these, generally speaking, are understood to be the end of our resources at a human level. And so how do we get beyond that? Sometimes when we're at the end of the rope, that looks like, I've got one nerve left and you're on it. Other times it's that sense of oppression where I just can't breathe. It just feels like it is so oppressive. Other times it's straight fatigue where you just can't go any farther and you fall over. That's it. Other times it's grief that just closes in on you, again, creating that crushing feeling of just suffocating or unable to move forward or see a way ahead. Runners talk about it as the splat or the wall or the bonk. And again, it's that space where you just don't see a way forward. Where the mind wants you to quit. Everything in you wants you to quit. But there's other ways of being at the end of your rope. You can also be pulling a sleigh. You can also be water skiing. You can also be on a bungee cord. There are just so many ways of being at the end of your rope, and they don't have to be negative. The spiritually strong at the end of your rope can also be like a kite, that balance of resistance. If you've ever flown a kite, that if you don't have any wind, if you don't have any resistance pulling against the wind, the kite just drifts and floats to the ground. It needs the resistance for the motivation to keep going, to keep up, to keep in flight. And like I said, if that goes away, if you don't have that purpose, if you don't have that motivation, then you don't have that resistance. You lose that. There's something in that. There's a blessing in that. And so finding how to hit that balance and use it to carry us higher, that, the lift under our wings, knowing our big why, why we get up in the morning, why we do things, what is our purpose, what is our mission, what is our intention. There's also the idea of being at the end of your rope in the sense of feeling firmly tethered in your heart, firmly tethered to the earth, firmly tethered to the divine within you. That deep connection where you just know you're anchored and you're secure and you're solid. So what happens when it doesn't feel so good is when we start to come unraveled, when we lose the end of our rope. And what's happening when this happens? It's when we forget our wholeness. Unity principle number 1, when we forget that we are whole and principle number 2, that we're a part of that wholeness, and that ultimately everything is all right and we're okay and we have what we need to go forward. So when we start to come apart in our beliefs, or things start contradicting or pulling us in different directions, we come unraveled. And Franklin D. Roosevelt said that when you reach the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. We all know that when you have to tie a knot on the end of a rope and hang on, it takes strength. And that's what we're really talking about today, is this idea of finding strength. Where do we find that strength, and how do we use it? Mother Teresa said, "I know God will never give me anything I can't handle. I just wish that he didn't trust me so much." And so again, where do we find this spiritual strength, or exactly what is it? And often spiritual strength is mistaken for the spiritual power of power. And I'm referring to these powers as the 12 powers that Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, spoke of. And often, like I say, misunderstood, strength is the idea of, the strength that it takes to lift something or move something or force something. And that's really talking about applying this spiritual power of strength to the power of power. So strength on its own is our ability to persevere. It's our ability to endure. It's our ability to be steadfast. That beautiful word stalwart that you don't hear very much anymore. Reliable is another aspect of our strength and how we want to show up for ourselves and for our relationships. The ability to stay the course, the ability to keep on keeping on. So runners know that, rather than wait and hit the wall, it's way better to preemptively get a longer rope, or the practice and train so that you have a stronger, longer rope. So what does training look like from a spiritual practice sense, and how do we build spiritual strength? Well, for starters, knowing what your spiritual strength is. There are 50 different verses in the Bible that say, God is my strength. And so often, at least I'll speak for myself, I used to see it as there was my strength that would get me through day to day, and then there was God's strength for when I couldn't handle it. And when I shifted to recognizing that, you know what, it's actually all God's strength, because there is only one here. And so practicing leaning into using God's strength for even the day-to-day tasks meant that I didn't have to find something different. I just had to express what I knew at a deeper level, to tap into it in a different way, or in a deeper way. It wasn't about finding something other than a new gear. It was finding a deeper gear, a lower gear. So that spiritual practice is doing it every day. And what spiritual practices are we talking about for building strength? Well, prayer and meditation are two great ones, because they actually give us the tools to connect to our strength. Those are the affirmations. Those are the calling on the deeper aspects of ourselves. Another thing that runners do along with their training is the idea of fuel. They recognize that you don't just go and drink lots of water on the day you run. You have to be well hydrated ahead of time. You don't just have a good breakfast. You need to have the nourishment ahead of time and build up the muscles. The part of your training is doing the small things and taking those small leaps of faith and those small exercises to build your strength. The lifting soup cans and the doing your yoga. Anybody who's done yoga knows that it's the little muscles that really get you. we have our favorite muscles that we use on a day-to-day basis that are pretty strong, but when you start finding all the little muscles in a yoga practice, you go, whoa, okay, so these ones need some strengthening. I didn't know I had those ones. So blessing our body with the fuel it needs ahead of time as part of training. And this is really self-care. And self-care, if you've been part of Unity for any length of time, it's something that comes up over and over and over again, because Unless we care for ourselves and look after ourselves, we have nothing to give the world. And so getting sleep, nourishing our bodies, exercising our bodies, that moves us, that gives us what we need to have the strength when we need our strength. And setting the pace so that we know what we are capable of, and setting a pace that we can sustain, and working on building that. I have in-laws. She moved into a condominium on a high rise and was very distressed because she had to go down to the basement once a month to do laundry, and she found it just too much. And she didn't have the strength for it. And her doctor said, well, rather than doing it just once a month, go down to the basement every day and just walk to the back wall and come back up. And that way, by the end of the month, when you go to do your laundry, it won't be such a big chore. And it was this big aha that, oh yeah, you can build strength, and it builds capacity. We can build on our successes so that, when we've, had found the strength to get up on the morning that was difficult, when we've, found the way to be reliable when it was difficult, then when it's really difficult, we have those successes to call on and say, I made it through that, I can make it through this. And some of us are blessed to have those really big things where you go, you know what, I survived that, I can survive anything. And it gives you that access to that deeper well of strength. And practicing having support. We don't do the chant right off the top there. It was so beautiful. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, take company. Have a team. Build it strong. The strength comes in being together. That afraid not, those are when our relationships are falling apart. It's when we come together that we have strength. Strength in community is when we come together, when those fibers work together and are intertwined. It's also within ourselves, the bringing that support so that all of us are on board and we're not fighting with ourselves and wasting energy. Strength as one of the 12 powers is so wonderful in conjunction with the other powers. And the first one that I like to combine it with is wisdom, because it's through combining it with wisdom that we decide and discern where best to apply our strength. For example, sometimes strength is holding on, and sometimes strength is letting go. And so being able to discern, is this a time I need to hold on, or is this a time I need to let go? It's also knowing discerning whether it's time to listen up or time to speak up. And again, it can take a lot of strength to do both, and getting clear on where the wisdom lies in which one we need to be applying our strength to can be hugely helpful. Likewise, combining it with will. Are we choosing to combine it to be willing, or are we combining it to be willful? The willful is usually not helpful. The willing changes everything. Combining it with the power of faith. That's when you get the vision and your strength holds on to it with the tenacity to keep on keeping on until it manifests into physical form. Beyond any appearance of the absence of it. Combining strength with life. Characters from movies. Have you ever the hero that or the villain that just will not die? That's the kind of strength that you can have when you're connecting it with the power of life. So recognizing that there's all these different ways we can use our strength, and learning to apply it, practicing applying it, looking for ways to apply it, looking for ways to expand it and deepen it, enrich it, build those muscles. So looking at the afraid not, when Roosevelt said, when you get to the end of the rope, tie a knot and hang on. We all know that if you've ever tried to hang on to a rope, it's way easier to hold on to it if you've got a knot there than if it has no knot and the rope can just slip through your hands. So when you tie the knot and hold on, there's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can be the frayed knot, which means knotted up in anxiety, fear, tension, whatever, so that nothing is flowing, nothing is moving, and you've got like a lock grip on everything. The trying to maintain control looks like that frayed knot. And that is very, very different than be not afraid. And the be not afraid is when the tension melts away and when the knot that you're tying is the firm thing that says the unraveling stops here. I'm remembering who I am at this point. I'm remembering my unity, and that part of me that's deeper than that. I'm tapping into my Unity 5 principles. That's what that knot is. Remembering my unity, remembering my magnificence, remembering that I'm a part of that and I have all the resources that I need. That knot is remembering our 12 powers and going, how can I use these? And you know, how do I connect with them? And which one is it that I need now? And how do I apply it? So tying that knot and hanging on to it is so important. And sometimes that's hanging on. Sometimes that tying the knot is letting go and being willing to be vulnerable. So it's all well and good to do your training ahead of time. And, you know, it's great to say, oh yeah, it would be great if I exercised well and I ran the quarter mile or whatever. And sometimes you find yourself in a marathon that was beyond what you were expecting, or you knew it was expecting and you just didn't do the preparation. Either way, and to sit there and bemoan that you didn't train well wastes energy that would be much better off spent on dealing with whatever it is that you're facing in the moment. So the first thing is to acknowledge that, okay, I'm in this situation, that I can see the wall coming. I know I can feel myself running out of resources. I'm starting to see that I'm running out of options here. So it's acknowledging that I'm about to hit this wall, and acknowledging that this isn't going to feel good when I do. And that's okay. And I know what's coming, you know, like, yes, I'm running out of steam here and I don't have the whatever it is that I'm needing to carry on, and there will be a way through anyway. So it's acknowledging it, acknowledging that it's not going to feel good, and going, and we'll do it anyway, knowing that you're not alone. And sometimes that's asking for help. Sometimes that's calling on another aspect of yourself. Sometimes that looks like many different things, but it's drawing on deeper within. Focus, bringing your energy into focus. Whether you're focusing on a chant, whether you're focusing on a mantra, whether you're focusing on your intention, whether you keep your eye on the prize, keep your eye on the goal, keep moving forward. And if you've had mantras and affirmations that you've been working with in practice, in training, and that doesn't matter whether you're training for running, training for cycling, training for a job you're doing, training for a project, training for life, having mantras and prayers and chants and so forth that bring you into focus can be so helpful. And again, if you go, well, that would have been nice to know, well, a month ago, and here I am now without one, it's like, well, grab one and call on spirit. Spirit will provide one, and grab onto it and hold it. Say it, affirm it. You can set mini goals step by step. I don't have to see the whole staircase. All I have to do is see the next step, or make it to the next mile marker, or make it to the next whatever, or just take one step and just take one more step. And if I can't do one more step, then take a half step. If I can't do a half step, then maybe it's time to shift to crawling. But that idea of just keep moving forward, or and sometimes it's about going, okay, I can't do this anymore. What can I do? So having those mini goals to keep moving forward, trusting your training. When you've been prayed up, when you are looking after your health needs, your sleep needs, whatever, trusting in that, trusting in the process, in your own process, trusting in your Christ self, trusting in your soul, the trusting your process. And you can shift from leaning on strength to leaning on faith. Tie your strength to faith. Let faith haul the load for a while. Just another way to keep going, another way to tie that knot and hang on. Surrendering to a deeper level. The strength that we're talking is not about tension and anxiety and fear. The strength we're talking about comes from the surrender and relaxation. If you've ever witnessed heavy equipment going up a hill as they shift down in gears to dig deeper, to find that power and strength to move forward, tying your strength to power, to go into deep reduction, that deep, that low gear. Do or do not do, there is no try. We've all heard that from Yoda, or at least a lot of us have remembered that from Yoda in Star Wars. And that's great, and it will carry us a long way. And at some point when it fails, try again. That is the backup plan. And recognizing that you only have to get up one more time than you fall down. That's all, just one more time than you fall down. The knowing that E is for enough. As a teenager, my sister and I used to go everywhere on E, because if you got home on E, we were allowed to use the fuel from the farm equipment, the farm fuel tank, to put enough in your tank to get to the gas station. You weren't allowed to fill the tank. It was just enough to get to the gas station. We weren't so good at that. We were much better at getting just enough to get home again, so that there would be enough to get home again. Not a recommended way of living, but it's great training for trust that you have enough. And then there's that other tether that is so important. When we realize that we are that ray of light, that spark of the divine, that energetic cord that goes right through us, tethers us to the whole, tethers us to the all, whether you see it going, through your crown, whether you see it going through your heart, whether you see it going into the earth, just that connection to spirit, that always carries us through and gives us everything we need. Exercising and practicing our awareness of it, it just has so many blessings. And so with that idea, then we call on Nathen to take us into meditation. And I invite you just to relax, breathing deep, relaxing deep, starting by breathing into your heart space, and then taking it deeper, all the way to the bottom of your torso, allowing your belly to extend, feeling life force drawn in, allowing it to release and relax. As you inhale again, draw in strength from the earth, strength from the environment around you, from the atmosphere, strength from life force itself. We are energetic beings. Every molecule in our body has more energy than the cosmos, is the energy of the universe. Breathe in from that strength. I invite you just to take a few moments now in the silence to tap into strength. Ask yourself what form you need it in the moment. What form is available to you in the moment? And just breathe it. Feel it. Feeling the reliability and the assurance that strength is always there for us. Breathing into it, celebrating it, opening to the possibility of expanding our capacity to receive it, live it, love it, express it. Allowing it to flow forth in the courage to take on things we don't know we can do. We have far more strength than we know. In loving gratitude for this awareness. Amen.
Be still and wait on the will of heaven. Be still and wait on the will of heaven. Silence is a source of great strength. Silence is a source of great strength. Be still and wait on the will of heaven. Be still and wait on the will of heaven. Silence is a source of great strength. Silence is a source of great strength. Be still and wait on the will of heaven. Be still and wait on the will of heaven. Be still. Be still. Be still.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your soulful songs, Nathen. And thank you, Sheila, for your wise and encouraging message. Being the last day of February today, this is the end of our Power of Strength we will be talking about, and what a way to go out. Thank you so much.